Recently, the National Association of Realtors just did a settlement that is pending court review. How the hell are realtors supposed to make money if they're the buyer's agent? Hello, all you beautiful people, world's okayest lawyer. Today, I actually am here with Zachary Fix, who is a realtor in the Houston area. Thank you, Zachary, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, in this case, which is Rhonda Burnett, a bunch of plaintiffs, the National Association of Realtors, and a bunch of defendants, they recently came together and decided that they were going to come to an agreement, just mainly so they didn't get pounded in the ass with billions of dollars in liabilities against, all these plaintiffs. In that, they weren't very clear in how they worded it, but it really seems like the buyer's agent is going to get screwed in this scenario. Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. Not only the buyer's agent, but also the buyer's clients are also going to get screwed royally.
So, you know, how the hell or why the hell would anybody want to be a buyer's agent at this point?
Well, there's going to be workarounds for it, for sure, because no one's going to want to work for free. So I think we're either going to see concessions on the seller's side for the buyer's commission, or we're going to see things such as when you do an off-market deal, that your commission's included in the sales price. So you negotiate ahead of time, the house is $350,000, my commission is $12,000 on top of that. And then at closing, the seller's agent will give me my commission as opposed to coming from the buyer. I think we're going
Right.
to see things
So,
structured such as that.
yeah, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, so I saw that, as far as buyer's agents money, it seems like that can't be posted to the MLS.
It can't. That's right now we have total transparency. I can see it, my clients can see it, the sellers can see it. Everyone knows exactly what the buyer's commission is. But going forward, that's going away. So we're going to go in blind with our clients and ourselves what that commission is going to be. So it's put everyone, the transparency absolutely goes away as opposed to being more transparent.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think about this in broad view, right? What's to just prevent everybody that is a licensed realtor from not just being just listing agents? That way they get their 1% listing fee, and then they get to put their sign in the front yard versus somebody using, let's say I was selling my house and I used you as my agent, but then in turn, I want to buy a piece of property. You, you know, who's to say that you just wouldn't turn it down because you're like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get paid.
So there are things in place for that already exist in the current market where we have a buyer's contract before you even go into buying a house. I have my client sign a buyer's contract that says I will only work for this amount of money. It's negotiable, so it could be anything from a set fee to a percentage of the sales price. But my buyer's client already know that's what I need to fulfill the deal for them. Which usually in the current market, that's covered by the sale of the home. So the
Right.
seller's commission pays that. But if that's ever, that doesn't match up, my buyer is dependent on paying the rest of that. That's already in place with the old procedures.
I mean, it kind of seems like with this settlement agreement, it kind of is going to make it a permanent seller's market, in my view.
Which absolutely. And also I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have a seller agent going into intermediary often, which benefits nobody. Because then I can't give you any definitions or clarity on the property. I can just say, this is the property, look at it, you tell me what you think. And on the buyer side, the same thing. I can't tell them anything. Here's a property, what do you think? So it's puts
Right.
everyone at a disadvantage.
And that kind of, I think, led to, my earlier question about being a listing agent and having your sign in the front yard. As a lawyer, I can't represent both the plaintiff and the defendant. I'm conflicted out. And it almost seems like, when you have a contract in place to sell, that you probably are going to need to put language in there in the event that you represent the buyer as well to ensure that you get paid from both sides.
And we do actually have a amendment for that that clarifies all those steps. If I do become an intermediary for you, it cuts my ties from giving you any kind of advice. So it's, and then at that point, what are you paying for? If you don't have the expertise of a realtor, why even
Hmm.
pay me a commission if I can't tell you anything?
Exactly. And that's just kind of my view. How I just think it's highly foreseeable that, you're going to get sellers that are going to, tell the person who's buying, like, hell no, I don't want to make less money. Like, I'm selling my house to make the most money possible so I can go and buy something else.
Exactly.
You know, hey, I'll throw a bone and I'll give maybe $1,000 bonus, off the side, but if you have a 3% commission, that you presently have. And just for folks that are watching this, the settlement agreement hasn't been accepted by the court yet. But in kind of viewing it, it's you had a buyer's agent that was eligible to make 3%, and on a $300,000 house, that's 9 grand. Now they're losing $8,000.
Exactly. So what would be legal going forward is a flat fee. So that could be, one, 2,000, $3,000, wherever you negotiate. Everything in real estate is negotiable. Or it comes to a point when you say it's zero because let's say if you're a first time buyer, you don't have a lot of money going into the deal already. And now I got to spend one, two, three, $4,000 on a commission that I don't have. That's going to really put the cost of entry into houses even further away from first time buyers as of making it more accessible. So I think that's the lawyers on the plaintiff side were saying, hey, this is going to make things more affordable for everybody, which I don't agree with.
Right. And, because, in my past, because I've sold two houses at this point. And in my past, when I sold, God, I sold a house back in 2014, 2015 was the last time I sold a house. And where I was, it was a seller's market, because they just had Exxon just built a big, beautiful campus, and it was about 3 miles from my house. And it was, you want it or you don't want it.
Exactly.
And I don't have to sell. And, I think I only ended up paying about 25% of the commission for the seller's agent, where they were responsible for the rest. And I'm sorry, the buyer's agent, excuse me, I said seller's agent. I just don't I guess I just don't see what incentive, you would have as a realtor when you have somebody saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a home, I want to be in Houston or Dallas or whatever. I'm not really sure what kind of house I really want. I kind of like ranch. I kind of like this other style. You want to go drive around and show me houses over the next several weeks? I mean, what incentive would you have in doing all that?"
Pretty much zero, but I do know other realtors who do charge per showing. Like I personally don't do that. I am, turnkey. I go from start to finish. I'm not going to charge you per showing. But I think we might see a model where people start charging per showing. Like if you want to see 20 houses, that's $200. So yeah, I think you might see a model where that begins and that we have never seen before, really, in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, honestly, that's not a bad idea. Because if the settlement agreement is accepted by the court, I mean, it kind of seems like from the buyer's agent side, they're castrating you all.
But I think also we're going to see a lot more off-market deals. Is in other markets, like New York City does not have an MLS. There, all the deals are done in pocket listings. So unless you know the person selling that house, you don't have access to those listings. So you actually have to have an agent who has an internal listing that shows it to you. I think we're going to see more of that too, because when you go to those levels, none of this ruling exists. You can still do it the old way, your own way. That there's no regulation when it comes to pocket listings.
Right, and that's similar to, I used to work in Washington D.C. That's similar to how Washington D.C. is. There's a lot of off-market homes that come up for sale, and crazily, a lot of these things are gone in days, for stupid prices. And then, here we are in Texas where you're having, tech companies that, Tesla, I think Google has a headquarters here now. I know Apple has one in Austin. So you're having a lot of people who were previously in California with California home prices rushing over to rushing over to Texas and, pretty much being able to afford anything they want because newsflash, if you're not aware of this, Texas homes are in comparison to most other places are pretty cheap and we make
Exactly.
just as much money as everybody else. Um I just I think I just struggle with the fact of y- you know why would you even want to be a buyer's agent at that point? Short of them paying, being a cash buyer.
I think we will find workarounds. I think we will see more pocket listings. I think we will see creative ways to still make money as a buyer's agent that doesn't involve commission. But really, if you in the court writ, part of that says if you take it off the MLS, you can do whatever you want. So we can still do the old ways if it's off
Right, and
MLS.
I did see that as well, because the MLS was the big buzzword.
Yeah,
So, in Houston, we use HAR.com, Houston Area Real Estate or Realtors. Um, and, that's where a lot of our listings are. But, you got other places, Realtor.com and whatnot. All of that would be on MLS, right?
that's correct.
So, so now what we're kind of looking at is, people are going to have to actually physically go to you as a potential buyer's agent and actually review a portfolio on the side that you would be keeping of homes and
Exactly.
photos and
And
whatnot.
that's how it used to be done. Before the MLS, you would have a book, you would go through your book and look at houses like the auto trader, instead of being an auto trader, you had a house trader. You'd go through all the listings and see it and say, oh, I like this house in a black and white picture, and then have to go to the house and show it to them.
Right. So, I mean, you actually bring up an interesting point. I mean, if somebody was to create something like Home Trader or whatnot and publish a bunch of listings, that might not necessarily be part of MLS, right?
Exactly. So it wouldn't be. That'd be a third party. It'd be either a pocket listing or off market listing inside that book. And then at that point, you're at the Wild West. You have no rules, no regulations over you, which adds less transparency, more collusion, and goes exactly against what this court ruling was.
Right. And that was something that when we were chatting yesterday, the Burnett and Bright and Ellis, they're in smaller markets to where, there might be a couple hundred, maybe a few hundred realtors. You're in the Houston market where we have thousands.
Exactly.
Like on my street alone,
Tens
I
of
got two
thousands.
different signs and they're, within about 100 feet of each other and they're different realtors. Um, collusion here in Houston, I mean, I guess it could happen, right?
It could happen,
You
but
could
the chances
collude with,
are
hey, this realtor's my buddy and whatnot. Um, but that's less likely, right?
it's almost impossible in Houston.
Right. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you as a realtor, I mean, you're more concerned about the food on your table. You're not necessarily caring about the food on somebody else's table, right?
Exactly. And also in the current system in Texas, that this buyer's commission is totally transparent. And that is set up in the seller's meeting when you go to list someone's house. How much commission do you want to pay the buyer's agent? That's set up. There's no other agent involved in that process. It's you and the seller client. And then that number is posted on the MLS, totally separate from buyer's agent ever seeing it. So the first time the buyer's agent sees that is on the MLS. So it's totally transparent, and there's no way you could have conclusion to that unless you already had another agent lined up before you even listed the house.
Right. And that sounds similar to what I had in my house I'm currently living in, is that when they listed it, they not only listed that, what the buyer's agent percentage would be, um, the seller of my house also included an additional bonus because they were looking to get out of the house quickly, which I feel like it was probably a pretty big incentive on why my real estate agent had me look at this house. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Which I think that is for new homes, you see that a lot. For new construction, there'll be a $5,000 bonus on top of commission for new home sales. You don't see it nearly as much in, you know, turnover houses or second time houses. but you do see it sometimes. So that is, as an agent, I would show that house more often because I'm like, hey, this house is a great house. Plus, there's a bonus on top of it. If there's $0 there, and I mean, to do the best for my clients, I would still show that house to them and then have the talk with them like, hey, there is no commission on this house. You are responsible for the whole commission, but I will show you this house no matter what. But just to be clear, the commission is 100% on you. But I would be more likely to show a house that had a higher commission, but still, be in the game. Either way, if there's no commission or commission, but if there's a commission on that table, I'm more apt to show a house, but I don't want to work for free. No one does.
No, I mean, hell no. Like, I don't want to work for free either. The only thing I do for free are these silly videos that thank you all so much for watching when you do. Um, yeah, I think that's just the biggest struggle for me. Like, I agree with you. Less transparency is worse than more transparency. And then on top of it, I can just see it having an adverse effect for the buyer side because, if they're looking at buying a $3,000 home, me as the seller can just say, no, I'm not paying any of that crap. You're responsible for that. So now that $300,000 home is now $309,000 for
Exactly.
that person, plus any other fees that are part of the
Yeah.
transaction. And I think I agree with you. That could be the difference between a buyer being able to afford a house and a buyer being priced out of the house. Because a lot
I
of
think it
times
would,
people don't come with their pre-approval of, hey, I'm pre-approved for 350. Let me look at this $240,000 house. They're looking around a 325, $330,000 house because they're approved up to 350. I mean,
yeah,
that's
I do think we're going to see, so right now for concessions, you get 3%, 6%, 9% based on how much down payment you have. So I think we're probably going to see some adjustment in concessions to allow for this as well.
what do you think the likelihood that the court, because here I am, just the world's okayest lawyer, and you are a real estate agent, non-attorney. What do you think the likelihood that the court isn't going to see the same thing we are, to where there is just a complete lack of transparency now in this model?
Yeah, you're reading the whole 108-page document. I don't see anything in there personally that the court would overturn.
Interesting.
It's
I mean,
it's written in a way that it's clarifies transparency, even though there isn't any. So I think with the legalese written into the document, I really don't see it being overturned by the upper courts.
right. And I mean, hell, when I was reading it, like I had to sit there and actually think about what the hell they were actually talking about. Because, like you were saying, they were using legalese. There's nothing in plain language where it says, hey, buyer's agent, you could potentially get screwed and your client has to pay for everything if they can even afford it.
Yeah, it's funny how they left that out of there.
Yeah, all that simple language, which come on, guys, we got to use simple language, so people actually know what the hell you're talking about. Because yeah, you can absolutely get one over on a court unless you have somebody that's like you and me sitting there going, but wait, this doesn't make any sense. Why would we go to a less transparent model? So, prior to this, because this hasn't even been accepted by the court yet, how's the market in the Houston area?
It's still a seller's market. Good houses are still selling fast. Houses that are questionable are still sitting around for a while, but the the sweet spot is the 250 to 350. Those are selling really quickly.
Okay. And how are interest rates looking?
They're high sixes and low sevens right now.
Oh,
They
gee whiz.
are saying that there might be two deductions over the course of this year, which would really help out.
Right. Yes.
But
And I did see that the Feds did state that the um, our recession or whatever was slowing down, and they were looking at maybe by this summer, doing their first rate drop, legit rate drop in a while.
the downside, you see a rate drop, then you see higher prices. So it's a trade-off. Either have a higher price house or you have a lower rate. And usually you have that feeding frenzy for 2-3 weeks after a rate drop, prices go up like crazy. Everybody tries to buy as quickly as possible. That dies off. So
Yeah. And so, I know you, so I know exactly what market that you're in. But, if you want you know, talk about yourself for a minute
Yeah.
and talk about the markets that you work
Yeah.
in and whatnot, it's all
I
yours,
am
brother.
absolutely citywide, but I do specialize in the Northeast, Kingwood area, Tascasita, Summerwood, Eagle Springs, Fall Creek. Those are my main areas I work in. But I am citywide. I even go past city in El Campo, Katy, Sugarland. Any of those areas are fine, but I do specialize in the Northeast as my wheelhouse.
So if somebody's looking for a seller's agent, because I'm not sure how much you want to be a buyer's agent at this point, how can they get in touch with you?
You can reach me on zachfix.com, ZACHFIX.com, and my cell is 281-487-8522. And
Do
you
you have
can,
any social media handles that you want to throw out there?
it's good to own land with Realtor Zach is my YouTube channel. I got some good stuff on there. So some house tours, how to protest property taxes. That's a good channel to check out as well.
Oh, awesome. And then I'm gonna throw a link down to that in the comment section of this. Anything else before, we bid adieu?
Yeah. Try to buy and sell your house before July.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I'm gonna try to do. All right, all
All
you
right. All
beautiful
right.
people. If you like what I had to say, please follow me on whatever social media platform that you saw this on. Give Zach a follow on his YouTube channel as well. As always, it costs $0 to be kind. It's the best money that you'll ever spend. Until next time, beautiful people, peace.